Welcome to our Prakarana class from a different location, but here background is same location, by the banks of Ganga. So wherever we are always with Ganga Ma. So let's begin with the opening prayers and the invocation verses for Tattvabodha and the Vivekacūḍāmaṇiḥ. Hari Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dayakaram Dayakaram Dantam Dharma Pravartakam Pranamami Dayanandam Madacharya-varam param. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnanapradam Gurum mumukṣuṇām hitarthāya Tattvabodho-bhidīyate. Sarva Vedānta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satgurum Pranatosmyaham. So we were still on the Manomaya Kosha. Hopefully today we will finish the mental sheath. But Adi Shankaracharya knows how important this covering is. And the covering we understood as being error we commit on different levels. So the 5 koshas are errors we commit on 5 levels. And Manomaya Kosha is the biggest of errors. That's why this much he has taken, and we still have 4 verses to go. Manomaya Kosha is what moksha is for, actually. Because this is where we feel bound. On this level is where we feel bound and limited as individuals. So we saw last time, to refresh, 178th verse of Vivekacūḍāmaṇi, he said, unattached consciousness, awareness is the essence of the individual, but the mind is what covers the fact. And the mind, what does it do? We saw that it ties us to the body, mind, senses, and also the pranas, and it makes us an individual which is limited, which is not full, which is dissatisfied because of this bondage. And it also causes the individual, he said, to wander in the forest, in the idea of I and mine. So this feeling of ahankara and mamakara, and in this forest of myriad experiences, varieties of experiences that unfold on a minute-to-minute basis, day-to-day basis for all of us. So here, the next verse explains the reason why we get trapped in this kosha. So he says, adhyāsadoṣātpuruṣasya saṃsṛtiḥ puruṣasya saṃsṛtiḥ adhyāsabandhastvamunaiva kalpitaḥ rajastamodoṣavato'vivekino rajastamodoṣavato'vivekino janmādiduḥkhasya nidānametat. So what does he say here? He says that adhyāsadoṣātpuruṣasya saṃsṛtiḥ. The reason for this transmigration, the going from one body to another, this rebirth, the reason for it, he says, is because of life of superimposition. We are wrongly superimposing the false self on the real self. So the life of becoming samsara is due to one thing, the identification with the body, mind, senses. And once I identify with this particular body, mind, senses, what happens to me? I become a doer. And when I become a doer, what do I do things for in life? I do things for the enjoyer. So in Sanskrit, it is called karta. I becomes the doer. And the doer, does it do things just for the sake of doing? Any doer, I the doer, does it just act for the sake of acting? No. There is always a result wanted. There is always a result expected. And who is the it is myself alone. The I think other people are the result, they receive the phalam of my actions. Like suppose I feed somebody, the homeless, I think that the person who I'm feeding food to is the recipient of my action, right? This is how we all think. But in fact, I'm doing it not for that homeless person, I'm doing it for the bhokta, the one who is experiencing, enjoying the phalam. Because in seeing some hungry person eat, I get some feeling of joy in my heart. I get this feeling of relief in my heart, relieving somebody else of suffering. So what is it that I really do it for? Am I doing anything for somebody else? No. Shastra is very clear and it is difficult to hear. We never do anything for anybody else in our life. We think we do things for others. We don't. The mind, the I that acts, is doing everything so that I, the enjoyer, can enjoy. So everything in life is like that. The I acts and the receiver of that phalam is that enjoyer, that experiencer, which is also I. So identification with a particular body, mind, senses is the first wrong, erroneous superimposition the Shastra talks about. Because when I identify, I become a karta and a bhokta, a doer and an experiencer. And Atma can be neither doer nor experiencer. And when I become doer and experiencer, what is the consequence? I want to experience the karma phalam, the fruits of my labor. We say fruits of my labor, fruits of my action. As soon as I identify with doership, I become an experience of the karma phalam. So I look for karma phalam and suitable karma phalam. I never go for papa phalam. I don't like this. I don't like to go for rotten fruits. I don't like to experience the rotten fruits, the bitter fruits, the sour fruits. I only want the sweet fruits. So I'm always on that, like in Mundaka Upanishad, like the two birds on that tree, samane vrikshe. In Mundaka Upanishad, beautifully, the Upanishad mantra says, one bird is simply witnessing. And what is the other bird doing? It is flying all over the tree, looking for the sweetest of fruits. And when it tastes a bitter one, it spits it out, and then it flies around again, looking for the sweet fruit. And what is the other bird doing? It is simply watching. Now, Mundaka Upanishad mantra is not talking about bird watching, okay? There is a profound meaning to this. That bird that is watching is Sakshi, the witness you. The witness you is always there. And it is observing that you, going here and there like the other bird. It is observing that I, bird, going after all the sweet fruits, spitting out the bitter ones, spitting out the sour ones, going from branch to branch, twig to twig, constantly in motion. It is, and how is it watching? Is it tense? Is it anxious? Is it stressed? That bird is relaxed. Because it doesn't want to taste fruit. Because it knows it is not the doer, it is not the experiencer. So this is the second adhyasa, the karma phalam we want to experience. And once I want to experience karma phalam, I inevitably have to experience two sides of one coin. We know that when I look for joyous experiences, very soon after the joyous experiences, the sorrowful experiences follow. And this is for everybody. Our whole lives are fluctuating between pleasant and unpleasant, pleasant and unpleasant. Sometimes the pleasant lasts a little longer, sometimes unpleasant lasts longer, but we never have pleasant lasting forever. And we never have unpleasant lasting forever. So he says, this wrong, erroneous superimposition in life is our cause to come back into this chakkar of samsara, into this cycle of transmigration. And we saw also, what is it that transmigrates? It is the subtle body along with the karana shariram. Karana shariram is in the subtle body. This is alone transmigrates. So he says, amuna manasa eva kalpitaḥ adhyāsabandhastvamunaiva. By this mind alone, this knot of ignorance is generated, is superimposed. And what is the knot of ignorance? The knot of ignorance is this constant identification with the desires that arise in the mind, the actions that follow desires, and then the clamoring for the fruits of actions. This is the three, Shankaracharya says, triple knot of ignorance. Desire arises in the mind, activity follows desire, and then the fruits are looked for. So this is called samsara life, which everybody lives. But Shankaracharya says, beware, the knot of ignorance is the cause for your return to this life of becoming, life of samsara. And what does this life contain? Janmādiduḥkhasya nidānametat. He says, this life is janmadi. It is beginning with birth, and dukkasya nidānametat. It is dukkasya. See, mind alone is responsible for the unhappiness in life. Mind alone experiences unhappy in life. Atma lights up our happy experiences. Atma lights up unhappy experiences also. But when we say mind alone is responsible, let us not blame the mind. Mind is not a big baddie here. Mind is not like a gangster that is out to get you. We should never make the mind our enemy, because if we make our mind enemy, one more thing to battle in life. But here, the mind, if it subserves the intellect, then the mind can become our friend. When it subserves the intellect, it means that Viveka Shakti is kicked in. Viveka means discriminative power. So mind becomes helpful to you, becomes beneficial to you when the power of discriminative analysis is there in your life. So if it is not there, he says, avivekinaḥ puruṣasya. Avivekinaḥ puruṣasya, which means the one who is non-discriminative, there is always going to be bondage. The one who does not discriminate, who doesn't discriminate? The one for whom rajas becomes predominant. Rajas makes you run away in life from facing yourself. See, whenever we're running into activities, doing, it means we cannot just sit still and be. Can we just sit still and be for even 10 minutes, a few minutes a day? Just be quiet with ourselves, eyes closed, no WhatsApp, no Facebook, no Instagram, no activity, no phone call. Are we able to do that? No, because Rajas drives us, propels us into action. So if there's too much activity, he says, rajastamodoṣavato'vivekino. For this person who's non-discriminating, there is no time to inquire, no time to contemplate, because you're always on the run, you're always on the move. And another guna, he says, rajas, with rajas, tamas also comes into the picture. If there is too much lethargy, too much apathy, too much indifference, depression, then also you don't want to face yourself. So you sleep it off. See, if you don't want to face yourself, either you can get into a lot of activity, or you can do what? You can sleep and take some drugs, antidepressants. There are two ways to escape. Or you can even take some, any other type of intoxicant. So here, tamas also comes into the picture. Tamas also drags you away from facing yourself. Now, Adi Shankaracharya, in the next few verses, gives the remedy for samsara. How do we get out of the samsara? How do we overcome this rajas and tamas? And he makes it very clear we cannot get out of samsara by getting rid of the mind. You see, all the previous verses, it sounds like we have to remove all the thoughts, get rid of the mind, because mind is the cause for bondage. But we cannot get rid of the mind. Mind is Atma, but Atma is not mind. Mind is nothing but a bundle of thoughts. So what do we have to get over? He says here, tanmanaḥśodhanaṃ kāryaṃ prayatnena mumukṣuṇā viśuddhe sati caitasminmuktiḥ karaphalāyate. So now he brings in again the idea of purification. He reiterates this. In Shastra, always reiteration, repetition, it means that it is an idea that has to be followed through and has to be practiced. It is not just saying it again and again because Adi Shankaracharya or the rishis have nothing more to say. In fact, they don't have anything more to say because very easy Atmajnanam and the way to get it, Karma Yoga lifestyle, a life of values, doing some upasana, then moving into contemplative life, Jnana Yoga, then discovering the self. That's it. In 5 minutes, I've explained, not even 5 minutes. This is the knowledge. But again and again, all the texts come from different angles for you to understand how important it is. So he says here, Shankara makes it clear there is no reason to get rid of the thoughts in the mind. You need to only purify your antahkarana. Liberation, moksha, can come to the person, to the jiva, whose, he says here, when the mind is purified, moksha is like readily available, like a fruit in the palm of your hand. See, when you have a fruit in the palm of your hand, all you need to do is take it to your mouth, bite it, and you need to chew it and digest it, right? That is all you need to do. There is nothing else to do. So Shankara makes it very clear here. You don't need to get rid of the thoughts in your mind. You cannot. There are many traditions that say you have to have a thoughtless state. Here in Vedanta, we don't talk about thoughtless state. You cannot be a thoughtless person. We're always thoughtful people. We're not thoughtless people. Thoughtless means you're dead, corpse. If you're thoughtless, you'll be a corpse. So none of us are walking corpses like zombie, right? So we have to understand that I have a mind is not a problem. That I have a mind is not the problem. My mind thinks in a certain way is also not the problem, because I assimilate my thinking in the order of Ishvara. Even my thoughts are in psychological order, which is nothing but Ishvara for us. Then what is the issue? My identification with the thoughts is the issue in life. That I identify with the thoughts and I take the thoughts to be I, that is the problem. So it's like saying samsara is like a headache, right? We say samsara is like having a headache. It is having a headache, actually. It is like that. It is a long, drawn-out headache, samsara. But to remove the ache in the head, do I need to remove the head? I don't need to remove the head. Anyway, we wish Bhagwan had given a head that could screw off if I had a headache, right? Be so nice. Just screw the head off, keep it to one side until headache goes, and then screw the head back on. But unfortunately, we don't have removable heads. And in the same way, here we don't have removable thoughts. We don't have to take the head off to address the ache. We have to address the ache alone, and the ache has to be removed. So ache, we have to understand, the ache cannot be without the head. You can't have a headache without the head, but the head can be without an ache. So this is a very interesting statement. You listen to this. The headache cannot be without the head, but the head can be without the ache. In the same way, samsara cannot be without the mind. Mind is the cause for samsara, means samsara cannot be without the mind, but mind can exist free of samsara. This is very beautiful to see that mind can exist free of samsara. So I don't need to remove my thoughts to be free of samsara. Mind, if I understand my thoughts, I understand it's a question of wrong identification. I don't need to be rid of all the thoughts. So removing the ache in this context means you clear the mind of raga, dvesha. We saw that. What does it mean to have a pure mind, clear mind? It means clearing it of our two best friends. Although Krishna calls them two worst enemies in the Gita, I call them my best friends because we see them all over the place. They are our best friends, which we have to, unfortunately, say bye-bye to. Again and again they come into our lives and they create havoc in the mind, because of the likes and dislikes in the mind. Always the mind is in a state of disturbance. And with Vedanta, we don't spend much time with mental purification. This is one of the issues that I find, in many places in our parampara. We don't emphasize this time to purify. And the best way to purify, I found, is do seva. Nothing like seva to purify. Life giving, reducing that. In that way, bhakti becomes so important as a tool. Bhakti is not the end. But when you develop devotional attitude, and you see, I gave a talk in Delhi recently, maybe we will upload it, but there was one of the lines is, look around and serve Ishvara. Look back and thank Ishvara. Look forward and trust Ishvara. Look around and serve Ishvara. Look within and discover Ishvara. So when we say look around and serve Ishvara, again, that service comes before discovery. Even in that little 4 lines, if I learn to serve and give of my talents, my skills for the sake of others, I find my mind becomes more and more pure. And I become an instrument in the hands of that consciousness. I realize I am not the doer. See, that's the first step. You use the I to say, I'm not the doer, I'm an instrument. I'm an instrument in the hands of Ishvara, consciousness. Consciousness is working through me. Consciousness is doing. So this time we need for purification of mind. Otherwise, Vedanta cannot bless your life. We want Vedanta to bless. We want Vedanta to translate into our words, our thoughts, our deeds. Otherwise, it remains in the books. And we are not here for bookish knowledge. We can go to Oxford University or some other university for bookish knowledge. Here we are here for making our lives better. So he says here, spend time in clearing that ache. Clearing the ache means don't think about yourself and your, mine and I and mine all the time. Think more. Expand your heart. Vasudeva Kutumbakam, whole world is your family. And manashodhanam karyam tat. Start now. He says, start now. Do this shodhanam now. Clear now. Don't wait. Don't put it off. Because this purification of the mind doesn't just happen in 5 minutes, 1 week. People ask, how long does it take to purify? Sometimes it can take janmas, okay? We have to be the disclaimer. Don't think it just one janma. Sometimes it could take janmas. It is not easy because we have lived janmas with impure minds. So, how long will it take means that there is a lot of storage here. Karana Shariram we've carried over from past life. We haven't carried any other, Samsonite baggage or anything like that. We have carried our Karana Shariram with all the baggage of karmas. And that needs to be neutralized, whatever. So purification begins first with even your personal hygiene. Shaucham is external. Is my, do I take care of my physical body? Do I take care of my food, dietary habits? That is also purification. How do I take care of myself? And then do I take care of my environment? Yes, I live, there are some people who dress very well, they look very smart, but when you enter their homes, you can't step in the home because of the trash in the home. So much trash around. So it is not just important to keep yourself clean, your immediate environment also should be clean. And then your community also take pride in the place where you live. Even if you don't drop the trash, what time does it take for you to pick up something and put it in the dustbin? People's ideas, well, I didn't drop it, that thought will come. I didn't drop this, why should I do this? You're doing it as seva for Ishvara. So when you see something like that, you remember, I'm doing this for Ishvara. I'm not doing it for anybody else. So this is the way life is lived to purify yourself. Includes alert living and constant practice. This is what he says here. Prayatnena mumukṣuṇā. Prayatnena means not just, 1 or 2 days a week. Prayatnena, keep practicing constantly, committedly. Use your intellect to stop those unhealthy patterns of thinking and convert them to healthy patterns of thinking. And he says, etasmin viśuddhe sati muktiḥ karaphalāyate. Once you have a pure mind, once it is clean and pure, then you have a super advantage. Your moksha, your liberation, your freedom, your freedom from all sense of sorrow and insecurity, that is like having a fruit on the palm of your hand. All you have to do is put it to your mouth and eat, and immediately knowledge gets assimilated. So when we say enjoy the fruit of knowledge, the enjoyment of the fruit of knowledge will come when the mind is pure. So with that, he finishes this verse, and we move on to the 182 verse. He says here, Moksha eka satya visheshu ragam nirmulya samyasya cha sarva karma satraddaya yashravanadi nishtaha rajasvabhavam sadhunoti buddhehe. So, very beautiful verse to reiterate how we live our lives in order to discover our freedom from manomaya kosha. See, I want to be free. Somebody beautifully said, it is not that I want to be free, because I say I want to be free. It is not I want to be free. Actually, what is knowledge? Self-knowledge is that Atma is free of the I. It's the other way around. Atma gets free of the I, not I get free. When Atma is free of that I, that is self-knowledge. So he says, moksheka satya. Moksheka satya means make moksha the top, put it on the top of the list. You work towards this in your life. Everything else is down on the list. We're not saying you eradicate, get rid of everything else, but it is lowered down on the list. This becomes your priority. So everything in your life will get designed to achieve this end. And ekasakti means this attachment in life. See, we have lots of attachment in life, and we cannot be unattached totally. I've also said that it is very, very difficult. But if we can put all our emotional attachment into this Shastra, into the discovery, we focus it on the self-knowledge, and you convert that energy which is going all over the place to the spouse, to the children, to the friends, to the objects, to situations, all the attachment I have, I divert it. I'm not blocking it. What we talk about is attachment diversion. So here, moksha is attachment diversion. So I turn that attachment to mukti, and I make moksha the only attachment I have. So my whole mind moves from this, things that are temporary, anatma it's called, to what is permanent, which is atma. And he says, Vishayeshu ragam nirmulya. I can only divert my attachment by reducing my clinging to external objects. Vishayeshu ragam nirmulya, to reduce my longing for this external objects of the world. And how do I do this? We have many techniques, and we have talked about those. The way to develop vairagya is to keep doing vichara. See for yourself, what am I really clinging to? Like Swami Dayananda used to say, a drowning man, he is being washed away in the river. You can imagine in Ganga, with the force of Ganga and the current. You've fallen in Ganga, you've been washed away. And you think something looks like a log. And what do? You cling to it. But it's actually a bear. So you're clinging on to a bear thinking it is going to save you. No, a bear is ready to eat you. Same way, we are washed in this ocean. We're washed in this river, which is a very, very strong current. And what do we take to cling on to? Things that are also impermanent. I'm clinging on to something impermanent, thinking it is going to save me and take me to the other side. So he says, don't cling, don't have this clinginess in your life. You use your intellect, you have that power. Develop dispassion by understanding through inquiry. We cannot force dispassion. I've also said this. You cannot force dispassion. You have to develop dispassion by constantly seeing how temporary this whole jagat is. Keep seeing the temporariness. It is all fleeting. And you turn your attachment first. You can't, as I said, when you divert your attachments, first it will feel very, very difficult. You may get anxious. What do I've been so much attached to my mother, my father, my everything. Then suddenly you can get panicky. When you're practicing, I have nothing to be, everything is leaving me. Everything is impermanent. What can I cling to? That is why Shastra says, first cling to Ishvara. Understand Bhagavan. You cling to him in that way that you will accept everything that is happening in life. That is clinging to Ishvara. Accept whatever comes. What is in your life is nothing but Ishvara. And how do you divert this? How do you manifest this? He says, Shraddhaya, with the commitment, pending discovery. You have a Shraddhaya, you have a commitment pending discovery to what? Not to the temporary and fleeting, but to Vedānta as a means of knowledge. You take it as a means of knowledge. It is not an ordinary book. Look at it like a mirror so you can see yourself. Take it as a mirror. Only the mirror can reveal your eyes to you. Same way, Vedanta Shastra is not a book. These are the Rishis' teachings. These are Bhagavan's teachings. They have come thousands of years. And these great masters are telling you the truth of yourself. Take those books and keep looking into them, and you will see your true nature. This is the way the means of knowledge works. You cannot but, Swamiji used to say, Vedanta, when it's unfolded in the proper way with the right methodology, and the adhikari is there receiving this knowledge, one cannot but see the truth. It is going to happen, it will happen, and it has to happen, because before also in the past, in ancient times, this is how it has worked. So Vedanta becomes a means of knowledge. You have to only commit to it, Shraddha. And he says here, Shravanadi Nishtha, means how do you commit to it with, this Shraddha? By listening constantly. Shravanadi. Shravana means listening. Adi includes manana and nididhyasana. So listening, reflecting upon the words, and assimilating the words. This is the way, the method in Vedanta. The main listening, reflecting means clearing your doubts, and you internalize the knowledge, making it yours. And sabuddhehe rajasvabhavam dhunoti. That person, such a person, destroys the rajasic and tamasic nature of the mind. Mind becomes sattva pradhana. A sattva pradhana mind means it is peaceful, it is content, it is calm. So this is what happens. All the projections go, all the ignorance also. Tamas is ignorance. When the ignorance goes, then the wrong projections also go, right? So the root of everything is ignorance. When there is self-ignorance, what happens? Wrong projections happen. So when you remove the root, then the projections also change. You see the world as it is, and you see yourself as it is. So now we come to the last shloka dealing with Manomaya Kosha. He sums up everything, bringing in Atma. He brings in consciousness here. He says, Manomayo napi bhavet paratma hyadyantavattvat parinami bhavat dukkhatmakatvat vishayatva hetoh drashta hi drishyatmataya na drishtaha. Very beautiful final verse concluding. He says here, Atma is also not Manomaya Kosha. Atma, this mental sheath, cannot be this supreme self. It cannot be the Atma. And he gives a few reasons for why it can't be Atma. Why can't Atma be the Manomaya Kosha? Because, in Tattvabodha, Vivekacūḍāmaṇiḥ actually is a very beautiful text elaborating on the definitions given in Tattvabodha. So Vivekacūḍāmaṇiḥ is like a magnifying glass. That's why I'm spending time on these verses, because you need to magnify what Tattvabodha has said. Tattvabodha has very short definitions, but in Vivekacūḍāmaṇiḥ as a text, you get a wonderful idea of each of the aspects of Vedanta, the technical aspects. So he says here, Manomayaha api na bhavet paratma. This I, the nature of I, which is Atma, am not the mind. I am not the mind. The Atma, is not the mind. Why? Because mind is my instrument. I wield the instrument of the mind. It is an imposter I. This imposter I is not the real I. So when this imposter I takes us over, what happens to our lives? Our lives also become taken over. Our lives also become troublesome for us. We can't handle many things because identification with imposter I. He says, the mind is not you. The mind is an instrument in your hands. When the mind is agitated, why do you say, I am agitated? When mind is disturbed, why do you say, I am disturbed? Actually, the thoughts can never disturb you. Thoughts have no power over you. Thoughts have no energy to take you. You allow the thoughts to disturb. You identify with the thoughts, and then you internalize those thoughts. Internalize mean you make them your reality. You see for yourselves. This is something you have to live alertly and see for yourself. I am the one who makes my thinking my reality. Do I ever challenge my mind? Do I ever tell it, shut up, be quiet? I don't. I don't challenge my mind because I am totally convinced what the mind is telling me is real. So this is number one thing he says here. It is an imposter. This mind is imposter you. And he says, how do you know? Hyat yantavat tvat parinami bhavat. First of all, he, Adi Antavat. Indeed, the mind is also subject to Adi, beginning, and Anta, end. It is subject to decline. It is subject to birth. Remember the Shadvikaras, the sixfold changes. Sixfold changes don't only apply to the physical body, they also apply to the mind. So mind is also born, mind lasts for a length of time, and mind goes in time. So even in one life, you can see the decline of the mind, right? When I'm very young, mind is so sharp. Like the kids camp at Rishikesh, I saw that. You don't think 4 days they learn chapter 15. What memorization capacity, young children have. They just hear one verse and immediately they pick it up. Amazing. Such absorbent minds. Then you see, after some time, what happens? Slowly the memory capacity decreases and more it goes down. And by 50, you're forgetting little things, people's names, people's faces, all of this is what? That is decline of the mind. It also going down. So it is not as sharp as before. So mind, if it is born, it is subject to destruction and decline, then can it be Atma? It cannot. Because we know Shastra has revealed Atma is not subject to any change. It is changeless truth. So I cannot be the mind. Mind is also always changing thoughts. 1 minute, one thought arises, then what happens? That thought leaves, another thought comes. Another minute, another thought arises, that thought leaves, another thought comes. 1 minute here, another minute. So the thoughts are born and gone, like that. Thoughts keep going. That is why we say, this too shall soon pass. Nothing will ever last. When mentally I accept that, you'll understand this too shall soon pass. Even in one day of our lives, we see the mind, even if we find it difficult to examine the mind while we're in waking state, look at the changes of the mind in all three states. Is it the same? When I go to sleep, what happens to the mind? It also goes to sleep. In fact, when I say go to sleep, what is really going to sleep? It is the mind going to sleep. I go to sleep when I say it is my mind. I should say my mind is going to sleep now. And when the mind goes to sleep, body also starts sleeping, right? Body always follows, physical body follows the mind. So mind goes to bed, mind is ready for bed. And then body becomes ready. When mind is asleep, body becomes asleep as well. And then what happens? Dream, if I go into dream, it's a totally different mind. Totally different world the mind creates. So another state, it changes too. The I that I have in my dream may not be the I that I am in waking state. I could be royalty in a dream. Suddenly I find myself in the dream, Queen of Sheba or somewhere. I find myself, I'm living through this whole royalty life in the dream. And that I is different. My personality is also different. And for me, Swakale Satyavat Bhati, while that dream lasts, it is absolutely real, right? We can't say at that time, I look at it and say it's unreal. I can't. Because I'm going through all the experiences, sorrow, joy, all of that in the dream. But what happens when I wake up? Another I wakes up, some other I. That I remembers the dream. And that dream I is negated in knowledge. This I that wakes up negates the dream I because that dream is mithya. That's what we call. And what Vedanta says is that the I that wakes up here is also mithya. So it's also negated in knowledge. So actually, I'm living a dream within a dream within a dream, like that. We're living within dream within a dream. This long drawn out dream, also when I wake up to knowledge, this I is also seen. It's like, a big relief. I thought this life was real. It is not. It's not as real as I thought it was. What a relief it is. All the tension, anxiety in this long drawn out dream of with all the issues, the problems that we have. In knowledge, you suddenly wake up and you recognize, my God, thank God it is a dream. Then you can enjoy the dream. Once you know it's a dream, you can enjoy the dream. So here he says, these are the reasons mind is always changing. And he says, dukkhatmakatvat vishayatva hetoho. Mind's nature is to become sorrowful. See, mind's nature is to become sorrowful because it is in duality. The thoughts that we have in waking state are always dual, in dual thought. But if mind's nature is to be sorrowful, why do I resist sorrow? Have we ever questioned? Why do we resist sorrow? We resist that which is alien to us. We always resist that which is not us. If sorrow was natural to me, what would I say? Oh, I'm so happy being unhappy. I love being sorrowful. It's just so wonderful. I wake up being sorrowful. If the mind's sorrowful nature was my nature, then I would be happy being sorrowful. But I am not happy being sorrowful. I resist sorrow. Why? Because my true nature is ananda. It is limitlessness. My real nature is limitless joy, happiness. So I'm constantly resisting what is not me, what is not my nature. If limitless and absolute happiness is my true nature, then sorrow and joy cannot coexist in one locus. That joy that I experience in the mind, that sorrow I experience in the mind, it has a nature of coming and going. But I take that joy to be me and I identify, that is called Anandamaya Kosha. We'll see that is coming up as well. But I take it to be me and then I become sorrowful or joyful. Here, my nature is always limitless joy, always limitlessness. So he says here, understand that Atma's nature can never change. Mind's nature is changing. Sorrow, joy, pleasure, pain, all of this, always changing. Atma lights up both the extremes. Vishayatva hetuhu means mind can be objectified. Mind can be seen. We have seen this in Drik Drishya Vivekaha, whoever joined for that. I did that text. If you remember, mind is a seen object. Mind is seen because you know your thoughts. At any moment, if you take some time, you know the state of your mind. How do you know the state of your mind? How do you know? Because when somebody asks you, how do you feel? You can very easily explain what is happening in your mind, right? In fact, we love to talk about ourselves. So most of the time we're saying, oh, I'm like this, my mind is like this. We will give big lecture to everybody what my states of mind have been. This morning I woke up, I was a bit depressed. Then I went out jogging, I became a little happier. Then I went out, had an ice cream, I became even more happier. So you recognize the states of change. For you to recognize the state of mind changing, what must you be? Only a changeless truth can recognize the changing. A changeless truth alone can recognize what is changing. There has to be a changeless basis to recognize what is changing. So this is a very important thing he says here. Mind is an object of view. Mind is an object. And he says, Drashta hi drishyatmataya na drishtaha. The experiencer is never the experienced. The experiencer, the I, is never the experienced. So if I see a car, I'll go out and I see a car. I am not the car. I know very easily. Am I the car? Do I ever get confused? I perceive the car, but I don't say, oh, I'm the car, right? And Swamiji always used to say, you see a donkey. Are you the donkey? You see a monkey. Are you the monkey? No. You see your physical body. Yet you say, I'm the physical body. You see your physical body and you say, I'm the physical body. You see your thoughts and you say, I'm the thoughts. This is something one has to do vichara for a length of time. What you perceive cannot be you. Because the perceiver and the perceived, he says, have to be different. So the whole idea here, he finishes this Manomaya Kosha verse saying, look at this. Your mind cannot be you. You are the observer of your mind. You are different from the mind. You are distinct from the mind. So the thoughts in your mind cannot define you. You are free. You are free from the thoughts in the mind. Once you totally sever the connection with the thoughts, you can watch your mind like you're watching a movie. You can watch your mind like you're watching. In fact, you don't need any other entertainment. You don't need Netflix or this flicks or that flicks. Just watch your mind and enjoy the drama it creates in your life. Every mind will create some drama or other. So you can enjoy your drama. Of course, if you talk to others, you enjoy their drama, their mental dramas. So everyone is having their own dramas in life. But if you're an observer, you can enjoy the drama without getting affected. This is why Adi Shankaracharya has spent so much on this kosha. This is the kosha that disturbs the most. This is the kosha where I want to be free. This freedom, sense of freedom is from this kosha alone. I don't really want to be free from physical body, right? I don't want to be physical from, our freedom is not from pranamaya kosha. Is it from annamaya kosha? No. Freedom sought is from manomaya kosha. I don't want to go up and down with the states of the mind. And when I recognize that I'm never going up and down with the states of the mind, that is when I recognize I'm free. Mind is going up and down. Why should I go up and down with the mind? So once I recognize my manomaya kosha is not the I. Manomaya kosha is an object, is different. Then I am free of the misidentification, the wrong identification with the manomaya kosha. So next, I think we will see Vijnanamaya kosha. I will see how many verses there are. And after Vijnanamaya kosha, we will have a Q&A session for all the koshas. So any questions, I will answer in the Q&A session. And I think after these koshas, I'm going to give a break for this session, Prakarana Grantha, because I have a lot of programs in the summer and also preparation, of course, for the Gita 6-month course. So I do hope that many of you are able to join that course. It'll be a very intense, and that covers a lot of things. This Prakarana Grantha, when I started, is to give you an idea of the definitions and elaboration on the definitions for people who mainly also studied Tattvabodha. So it's given you an more in-depth view, more in-depth analysis. So next time we will go through Vijnanamaya Kosha. Hari Om Namaste. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. Sarve Santu Niramayaः. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Asato Ma Satgamaya. Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya. Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om. Namaste. See you all next Sunday. Hari Om.